Okay, we are just finishing the Tuesday session. We got about 15 more minutes in the Tuesday session here for Bitcoin. Going to be making the video here, and as we move into the Wednesday session, Bitcoin rallied. We went to a new low, but it rallied. We got Ukraine agreeing to a ceasefire. We have Trump pausing. Actually, as what happened is Canada retaliated on Trump's tariffs. So Trump doubled the tariffs. He went from 25% to 50% of tariffs on steel and aluminum for Canada. And they caved, they backed down, and then they're agreeing to negotiations. This is what the United States wants. Tariffs are now paused on Canada. So we get this big rally on that, on the Ukraine news of they are agreeing to a ceasefire. So again, things moving forward with the peace process between Ukraine and Russia. So we get this big 6% rally back up to the 200 period moving average after being below it for 2 sessions, dropping below this low slightly, but not closing below it, not able to close below this previous low, which is, again, we talked about that. And again, right above horizontal support, the blue line right there at 74,000, and Bitcoin's average price directly below. If we lose that level, that's going to be extremely bearish for Bitcoin. But it's more likely we're going to bounce at that level. I'm getting all kinds of buy signals. I'm getting so many bottoming signals for Bitcoin. I can't keep them all straight. I'm getting so many signals. Likely going to see momentum signals all begin to turn up, the trend signals all begin to turn up, and then we'll be watching the resistance levels and our 100 period moving average, our 100 period, the pink line right here, and the 50 period. You got this trend line and horizontal resistance and our resistance zone. So we're going to continue to monitor these levels. But again, opportunity down here. I talked about the opportunity at the 200 period right there. I talked about the opportunity under the 200 period right here. We had dropped 7%. And I told you, again, before we ever rally back up, that we were going to rally back up on social media, and then which happened. And then when I made the video, we were rallying up to that 200 period moving average, and then we got it back above it. And again, I told you I thought a bottom was there. Well, I wasn't right about a bottom. There came close. I was off by 1,500, but again, we likely have it right here. And that we're completing a boatload of divergences. And I did tell you over here that, again, the risk was that the RSI rolls back over and ends up forming a divergence. And we talked about that at great length and detail as well if we didn't have a bottom over here. But now you've got 2 different bottoms, a possible double bottom pattern here, or it could be an inverse head and shoulders. But again, if we rally back up here, we'll be watching to see, can we break the downward trend line? Can we get back above the 50, the 100 period moving average? Got to be able to clear this 93 to 95,000 area. That's where a lot of resistance is, between 93 and 95,000. Watch the video all the way through. You're going to see some very interesting things. You're going to see a lot of bullish signals on Bitcoin. And again, I've been warning you of what? What have I been talking about? A bottoming process. And again, it's likely coming to a conclusion now that the divergence is complete above Bitcoin's average price there. You lose the Bitcoin's average price, that's going to be not good. I think we're more likely with the divergences to bounce there. It's also forming a bull flag as we hit some key trend lines. Let me flip over to the log scaling to show you. Log and linear, you get 2 different things going on with the trend lines and things. So again, this is the log scaling. And if we just exclude the shadow right here and connect the peak here and the peak right here, you got a nice parallel channel here going on. And again, right above Bitcoin's average price. And as we have this low right here acting as support, it's intersecting with the long-term trend line on Bitcoin going back to the 2023 low. So you've got this confluence of support with these 2 trend lines. Let me show you that. Now, before I do, Bitcoin is up 5.35%. We are up above 6%, testing our 200 period moving average, and we're stalling there. If we get a CPI rally, I'll be watching to see if we can get above this area. I'll be watching to see, does this low now hold at the support zone. I'll show you this up close on the intraday charts. And again, a lot of things are flipping back to bullish, and that could spill over into momentum and our trend signals in the daily time frame. But this channel right now, and by the way, Bitcoin up 5.39% at the moment after dropping sharply the last 2 days. Yesterday we were down 2.66%. The day before that we were down 6.36%. And Bitcoin has had this losing streak. Here in the daily time frame, we've been down 5 sessions in a row. Now rebounding and being up just under 5.5% or so. Now, look at this channel. And again, I've drawn that trend line from this peak and here, connecting these levels. But if you just make it parallel to these lower boundaries right here, you got a nice looking channel. Possibly a bull flag going into the 50-period moving average, going into the rising trend line. Let me show you that. This is absolutely incredible. Keeping in mind we have the 50-period moving average, the EMA and the SMA, and you've got Bitcoin's average price plus horizontal support plus this trend line. You got a boatload of support that, again, is likely going to allow Bitcoin to bottom here for term, and then we'll see, can it be a larger bottom if we start seeing the resistance levels that I've been talking to you about, if we start seeing the resistance levels being cleared. Boatload of opportunity. Before I leave this chart, again, I've been talking about the opportunity. I've been taking advantage of the opportunity around here of the 200, at the 200, below the 200 here. I talked about that, said, and then back over here. And then again today, another opportunity coming back and testing this low. So again, just building upon all of these opportunities that are presenting themselves, because I think you're probably likely going to bounce above Bitcoin's average price and the key support area. Bull flag, let's take a look at this on the weekly chart. Before I do, I just want to show you, we can also move the trend line to exclude the shadows here, exclude the shadow here, and connect it to these lows back in here as well. So again, you've got a potential bull flag pattern. Now, before I leave this chart, Bitcoin is closing right now, and it just closed, I think it was about 5.5%. Let's see. Yep, just under 5.5% at the close of the session. So we're now beginning the Wednesday session. We may come back and try to test this low, but again, we'll be watching because we're stowing at that 200. But we'll be watching to see by tomorrow, can we get back above it? Will this low hold? That's what I'm going to be watching. I'm getting all kinds of bullish signals. Nevertheless, I digress. Okay, our bull flag pattern. Let's look at this on the weekly chart, and this is absolutely incredible. We're right at not only Bitcoin's average price, but we're right at the 50-week moving average. And again, I've got both the EMA, the 50 EMA, and the 50 SMA, the simple moving average, at here. The darker one, we're still above it. That's a simple moving average, and we're right at the 50 EMA. And look at this. As we pushed into this trend line the last time, what did we bounce off of? Those moving averages. First here with the simple one, and then here with the EMA, and again, the SMA as well, bouncing off of those levels in the trend line. Will we get the same thing here? I think it's likely. Back over here, we went sideways. And again, the consolidation into the 50 bounce. Consolidation into the 50, and we got it right there, and it bounced. But then we got it here. Consolidation sideways into the 50, and a bounce. And look at this trend line. And again, I think you've got a good shot. Bitcoin's going to try to bounce here. And if it does, then we're going to be watching, can it go up and take out 109,000, or does it get a lower high? Now, again, I still am of the opinion that Bitcoin can move to a new highs. I know people don't think that right now, but Bitcoin, I still think, has a very good shot of a large topping process, because we just got the, we just got the inverting of the yield curve again, and oftentimes you'll get a market peak months later. You'll get the volatility, and then you'll go back up, and it'll fake everybody out, and you'll go, oh, it's over, and then you'll get the real. This is like a preview of coming attractions. That's what happened at the 2007 top. I wouldn't be surprised to see it with Bitcoin and the S&P 500. Now, NASDAQ, again, it largely follows NVIDIA. I believe NVIDIA is followed. But not only is Bitcoin forming a bull flag, you have that possibility on NVIDIA. If you go watch my video on the stock market, you'll see this potential channel or bull flag. Now, I think NVIDIA has reached resistance levels. But again, sometimes NASDAQ can diverge with NVIDIA like it did back in the summer, where in July we got a lower high on NVIDIA, we got a higher high with NASDAQ. So again, I'm watching, and sometimes you get that between the S&P and the NASDAQ. So I'm watching, do we get this confluence of support giving us a bounce on Bitcoin? Are you picking up what I'm throwing down? Now, you break this level, you break the 50, you break Bitcoin's average price, and you start dropping And I'll talk about Bitcoin's average price in just a second, because you're going to see, again, we're at a moment where either we're going to go and rebound and bounce, or we're going to do significant technical damage. Now, we could bounce, get a lower high and break this level, or we can bounce, as I think, and get a higher high and go up to, the upper channel line that I've been talking about, and then break, which I think is more likely. One of these two scenarios is likely going to be the case. You're probably going to get a technical bounce here at these key levels of support. I'm getting a boatload of bullish signals. If you want to know what's going on, if you want to see the bullish signals, watch the video all the way through. A lot of stuff to share with you, because, again, things are happening with Bitcoin. The trend line, the 50 EMA, the 50 simple moving average, I think you're going to get a bounce here. You go a little bit lower, like NASDAQ, it broke the 50 and it broke the trend line slightly. If it breaks it, then again, you've got that horizontal support at 74,000 from the March peak right here, directly below. But then right here, and again, we had a loss earlier in the week, and now we have a gain. Bitcoin is up for the week by 2.61% at the moment. But look at this. You've got a potential bull flag. And there are a couple of different ways you can draw it. Again, I showed you on the daily, then you could draw it differently. But the idea is you have a bull flag. And if we bounce at the 50 and at this trend line, then can we go up and break the downward trend line? Now here I've drawn a sharper angle of descent, a little bit sharper than the other chart we saw. Again, you could draw it a couple of different ways. But over here we had the bull flag as well, and we ended up with the breakout of the bull flag, and was at this level where we had our lows, and that was at the 50 peak moving average, the August low and the September low, 49,000 and 52,000. And over here, the sideways consolidation. So again, the consolidations, and I told you in my last update, again, this is likely a flush out move before rebounding back up into the trading range, because again, you had this flush out move here, you had it over here, this flush out move where you got it right here, and that gave us a bottoming tail, and you had it really almost, if we go back from up here in this range, you had it right here and right here before going higher and getting the higher low. You didn't have it here, but you moved back to the lower end of the trading range. So again, could be a flush out move back to our 50 period moving average. Now, two places we're testing: Bitcoin's 50 period moving average and Bitcoin's average price. We lose these levels and stay below them, that's going to be extremely bearish. Back in 2021, our second peak in 2021, we bounced off of the 50 period moving average here, went down to the EMA and the 50 period, and we tried to bounce, but it was very feeble, and we ended up losing this level, and then it acted as resistance, and we stayed below it, and the bottom fell out of Bitcoin. Now, again, that's the risk, that we take this level out and lose it. But if you bounce, you're going to either rally back up and get a lower high, or try to move to a higher high and move up to the upper channel line that I've talked about so much in nearly every single video. Here's the deal. When you're above the 50 period moving average, good things are happening. Now we're pulling back, but again, you're still in this longer term uptrend, a series of higher lows and higher highs. If loses that, then you run the risk anyways of moving into a longer term downtrend. At a confluence of support where Bitcoin needs to get a rebound. If it does, can it get a recovery in that it repairs itself, try to go up and challenge the highs? So a bull flag going into this key support area, a confluence of trend lines, of 50-week above the horizontal support. Let's take a look at Bitcoin's average price now. Here we have Bitcoin's average price, and we've come right down to it. Previously, we came down to it here at the August low at 49,000, and then tested it again in September at 52,000. And we bounced off of it in both of those cases. Over here, we came back towards it in the sideways consolidation, and we were just above it. Now we're testing it again. Again, we bounced. Do we bounce right here? We lose this area that is going to be extremely bearish. That's what happens in bear markets. You drop below it and you can't get back above it. We've dropped below the 100 period moving average, In these sideways consolidations, drop below it, got back above it, drop below it, got back above it. Same thing over here. You bounced off of it, you lost it, you came up, tried to get above it, it failed, tried to get above it, it failed, tried to bounce off of the Bitcoin's average price, and then you got above it and you bounced off of it and you stayed above it up until now. So again, in order to recover, you got to get back above the 100 period, but you got to bounce here off of Bitcoin's average price, because if you lose this level and you drop below it and you stay below it and you can't get back above it, that's going to be extremely bearish. You got a really good shot that Bitcoin's going to bottom. You got people now saying that Bitcoin's, about to get a massive, massive crash. We're hitting this level of support. I'm getting bottoming signals. It will probably rally, and then all these people that are telling us it's not going to rally, then they're going to tell us, just like they did when we rallied up, oh, the CME gap, we're filling the CME gap, and we went back up there. And really, Bitcoin's in a bottoming process, in my opinion. Unless we lose this level, that would be extremely bearish. And if we lose the 50-week moving average, that would be extremely bearish. I'm not talking about dropping below it and getting back above it. I'm talking about dropping below it and staying below it. Picking up what I'm throwing down. What happened with the last bear market, we rallied up to the 2021 high in November. We formed a divergence, and we ended up losing the 100 period, and we tried to bounce. We dropped below the 100, and then we dropped below Bitcoin's average price, and then we tried to bounce off of it, and it failed. You couldn't get back above the 100 period, and you sold off 52%. And then you rallied back up to the 100. You tried to get back above it, and you failed at Bitcoin's average price. And again, then the bottom fell out of Bitcoin. If we lose this area right here, like we did over here, and again, we tried to bounce off of it, but then we lost it, then that's very bearish. You can bounce here, then you've got a shot at either a lower high going back up to the 100 period moving average and then stalling there, kind of like what we did right here. We tried to get above the 100, but it failed. Or, and these failures back over here, or if you can get above the 100 and stay above it, then you got a shot at still going to new highs with Bitcoin. This video, I just wanted to show you that we're at that 50-week moving average. We're at the trend line from the 2023 low. If we break it, then you're taking out, you break the trend line from the 2023 low, you're taking out the 50-week moving average and the SMA, the EMA, and you're taking out Bitcoin's average price. Bitcoin is getting all kinds of bottoming signals, and got another one here for the session. We got one previously over here, but it only gave us a counter trend bounce. We're getting another one that's probably going to give us a bottom in all likelihood. Very similar to what we had over here. We had a peak over here, and then we formed a bearish divergence, and we saw the sell-off of about 18%. And again, bearish signals both there, got bullish signals here with the low that we had for the Tuesday session. All kinds of great opportunities presenting themselves. Just like, again, back when I called the top, we got a bunch of sell signals back up at the top there on January 20th. Now we're getting the bullish signals. I called this as a bottom. I was wrong. We went a little bit lower, not much, by about $1,500, and we couldn't even close below that level. And we've likely completed a bottom here on Bitcoin, or at least you got a pretty good chance. And now we're getting more bullish signals. But Bitcoin's got to rally and flip all of this around and start getting green and having all this red go away. And if we can rally, then we've got all this resistance to deal with directly overhead. We have, again, moving averages, and here VWAP resistance and horizontal resistance levels. So again, we're likely going to rally up into this area, into the 93 to 95,000 area, and that's where the resistance is, and then we'll see if we can go higher. Break the downward trend line. Please support the channel. Please support the channel at the link directly below. That allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like the charts, like the indicators, let me know that by supporting the channel. If you could take a moment to do that, I would really appreciate it. I don't have any sponsors. Turn those offers down. I just want a direct relationship with you. I don't want to sell you stuff. So I just ask that you do what you can to help out. But if you could take a moment to do that, I would really, really appreciate it. Take a look. Just follow the link below and take you to a secured site, and you can donate any amount you want. And I thank you for your consideration for that. Now take a look. Again, we've got red bars reflecting the trend. We got to flip that around, okay? And got to get back above the 200 period in order to do that. but I am getting bottoming signals on my intraday charts, on my daily charts. I got one over here. I talked about the bullish signals over here. Don't have one here, but I am getting it on other charts. Again, did a really good job of marking the previous top at 108,000, the bottom over here 89,000, and then the top over here with inauguration day on January 20th. And now here we've had this bottom. Well, we went a little bit lower, but you're probably forming a bullish divergence. But we've got to flip everything back from red back to green. The divergence can play out. We can get a rally back up. You can start turning this around. With the rally on Tuesday, we're seeing the momentum flip back to bullish in the 4-hour time frame. We're seeing some bullish things happen that has flipped momentum. Do you see how the line has moved back to blue? That's the momentum line. And we've got some other bullish bottoming signals over here, and then we've got the cloud now flipping. Okay? And right now, this line is going flat and it's turning back to green. It represents a swing move. So again, sideways kind of a bottoming process could be surrounding our 200 period moving average. So we're going to be watching, does this now spill over into the daily time frame? I'm getting a boatload. I'm getting so many bullish signals on Bitcoin that Bitcoin's bottoming, putting in either a short-term bottom or putting in a major bottom. I don't have time to show them all to you. I have so many, but this is the 4-hour chart. We'll see if the momentum is now going to flip over into the daily chart. Here is the 4-hour chart. Balance of power turning back to bullish. So again, some bullish things are happening, trying to turn some trending signals here in the 4-hour time frame. And we'll see if that spills over into the daily time frame. Now again, the bars are still red, reflecting the trend here. We still have the momentum line here bearish here, but it did turn bullish in the 4-hour time frame. This is the daily chart right here. And again, we're now getting another possible bottoming signal with today's bar. This is now closed, this bar closed. So again, this is telling us, hey, short-term momentum could be shifting. We saw it shift over here, and we saw these signals begin to warn of a possible bottom, and then we got a couple of let me just bring it up closer so you can see. We got a couple of bottoming signals right here after we got that bottoming tail, and now we're getting more, and I'm getting more on other signals. So again, got to flip the cloud back to bullish here in the daily time frame. Got to flip the momentum line right here and get back above this 200 period moving average and start seeing signals turn back to bullish. Get the balance of power back into positive territory. So we'll be watching to see what happens. Again, can we bounce holding above Bitcoin's average price? Now, if we flip over to my other chart, again, we have momentum having a bullish divergence forming here with Bitcoin. And I've talked about this. Again, after we peaked, it went into the negative region. It's been there ever since. We had a divergence at this low that gave us a bounce there, Class B divergence right there. But again, it failed to flip the trend around with Bitcoin. This time is likely going to do it. We've got the bullish divergence with Bitcoin here, and you've got it on other things like the RSI and other indicators are forming it. Got a boatload of bullish divergences on the 4-hour chart that are now giving us this rally that will eventually spill over into the daily time frame. But you got to be able to, again, flip. We saw earlier the momentum line. You got to flip the ribbon right here. We got to flip the cloud, as I mentioned. This line right here represents the short-term trend. We got to flip that and get back above that level, the 100 period just above that. So we've got more work to be done, and then you got to flip the bars back to green. We don't have that yet. So again, I'll be watching, but you got a boatload of bullish divergences forming on Bitcoin everywhere. We've got the fear greed index. We had it at extreme fear. I talked about that, and now it's moving up off of that level. It's now at fear, but it's diverging with, just as momentum is and other indicators like the RSI. Bitcoin made a new low. The fear greed index did not, and it's diverging. Okay, and again, you're likely witnessing a bottoming process surrounding the levels I'm talking about. Bitcoin's making a new low that we just saw, and the fear greed index is not. That's a divergence. They're diverging from one another. That trend line in the daily time frame. Here's a potential bull flag, and again, there's a couple of different ways you can draw this, okay? But again, a bull flag, this trend line going right into this rising trend line above horizontal support. And again, at our 50-week moving average at Bitcoin's average price, which is a little hard to see there, but you're forming this divergence. We may still test this level. NASDAQ took out the trend line in the 50. Bitcoin still may do that, but I'm getting a boatload of bullish signals. And I'm just telling you, that's what's happening. Just finished this session. The stochastic is now recycling back up, trying to get a bullish cross there, completing a divergence in the most recent price action. And you've got a Class B divergence forming on the MACD, where you have almost two equal peaks and that lower low on Bitcoin. So it's all over the place. Let's look at the 4-hour chart. Showed you that momentum had flipped in the 4-hour time frame, but real fast, I wanted to mention this. Again, we lost the 50 level on the RSI, and if we get back above it and we bounce off the 50-week moving average, you'll reaffirm a bullish 50-50 signal. Bouncing off the 50, getting back. I talk about the 20-50 bullish and bearish signals. I talk about the 50-50 signals. Right now, you got a potential 50-50. We broke the 50 level on the RSI, but we haven't broke the 50 level on the 50-period moving average. So could we reaffirm a bullish 50-50 signal, getting back above the 50 level on the RSI, bouncing off the 50-period moving average, or even if we end up going a little lower, breaking it, then rebounding. But again, I think you got a pretty good shot. You're going to try to bounce off of it. We still may get more tariff news or something else that rattles things, but Bitcoin is likely in a bottoming process. We saw the momentum shift on the 4-hour chart, and again, this level still may be tested. We may move back to it for a test. If we're not done yet, we could take it out or, again, get a higher low. But, again, we're stalling at that 200 period in the daily time frame. You got to be able to get back above the 200. You got to be able to get back above the 50 to go back up and challenge the resistance zone up here and test our 50 or test our 200 period moving average, test our 50 period moving average there in the daily time frame. But look at all the bullish divergences that are now giving us this bounce. And again, the RSI, it was this bullish divergence that gave us this big move back up to test the 200. We're likely going to see that happen again. Although, like I said, we might test this low again. I think you got a good shot of a bottom, though, if you can clear the 50 period right here. And we have the MACD turning back up and getting a bullish cross. And we have Pring parameter. Look at that. Pring parameter has a divergence. And if we can build upon this, it will complete and get back into positive territory. Again, the 50, the green line here, is below the 200 period. You got to get back above the 50, get back above the 200. The 50's got to get back above the 200 in a bullish golden cross to end this, to end the bleeding and the decline. Key support. So again, you got a pretty good shot. We just took out this level just a little bit. Let me show you another intraday chart. I'm showing you this up close, and again, the support zone here from the low over here, late February there, and then the higher low that's set up here in early March. We rebounded back up, tried to turn things bullish here, it failed. Turned back down, got a higher low, tried to turn things bullish here, it failed. Candles flipped back to bullish, and they flipped back to bearish, and we saw the selling back in here. But look, we didn't close below this low. And the bottoming tails came in right there. There were buyers right at that level. Buyers like me. And again, I took advantage of this. I took advantage of this. And you got people, and now here, people building positions at support. Nibbled on it over here when we first hit that 200 period moving average. So again, people building positions surrounding the 200 period. But look what happened. We formed this channel, and we broke out of it. And then we saw, as we were about to break out of it, we saw the candles flip back to bullish. And we moved and bounced above the support zone after dipping below it and getting a failed breakdown, now rebounding. So you're breaking the trend line. So can we get, and we're stalling at that 200 period in the daily time frame, can we build upon it, or do we throw back here, get more red candlesticks or something and back test, or come back deeper and test this area again and then go, or back test it and go? But are we going to try to build momentum? This is a 4-hour time frame. You could be forming a little inverse head and shoulders right here in the 4-hour time frame if we back test. Okay, that could happen. And then you got this neckline right here, and we can go off to the races. So if we do pull back and we get a higher low, there could be more buyers coming in at the breakout with the back test, after the breakout with the back test, I should say, here in the 79,000, 80,000 area. Information you're not going to get anywhere else. I wanted to show you those intraday charts, bullish things happening there. Bitcoin's getting rejection at the 20-period moving average. We rallied up here and rallied up here and rallied up here. We keep getting rejection at the 20-period moving average. If we can get back above the 200, we might try to take out that 20-period moving average because you've got bullish divergences going on, just like what we had over here. Remember, we had the bearish divergences back up the top. We talked about that at great length and detail. Here, we've got the bullish divergence. We're still in negative territory with oscillators, but it's all over the stinking place. It's everywhere. Intraday charts, the daily charts, it's all over the place. So again, I expect the divergences are going to play out, and we're going to get this rally. You got it on the RSI. I've been showing you the close-up here every single day. We've got this bullish divergence. Remember, I talked about the little divergence right here that might have been a bottom, and I told you, again, we still might go back and test that level, and we ended up doing that. Remember the RSI, remember I talked about how we formed the negative divergence. Let me just pull it down here so you can see. The negative divergences gave us the peak at 108,000, and again, another reference point of a divergence right here, here at 109,000. I told you that we topped on January 20th, that we get a sell-off. Now, I was expecting a test of the January low, ended up going even lower than that. My signals have continued to remain bearish because I have good indicators. But again, we're testing this level. So again, I'm using this to build a position here surrounding the 200 period at these lows and these bullish divergences, because I think we're going to rally back up probably towards the 100 period and the 50 period towards this trend line right here. Now again, this trend line I've included the shadows and touching everything. The trend line I showed you earlier in the video is slightly different. We include this trend line, you still have a larger bullish falling wedge type of a pattern, but I think it's more of a bull flag on the weekly chart there. But the bullish divergence here, the MACD is really getting what's called a Class B divergence, where you're getting really two equal lows. Well, price is moving lower. You're getting the divergence on the histogram. And then again, as I said, the stochastic is now turning up, and you've got a little bullish divergence there. So I expect that we're probably going to get a CPI rally. The VIX is predicting we'll get a rally with the stock market tomorrow. There's an 85% chance of it, so maybe it plays catch up to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is now starting to lead the charge. But beautiful divergence is developing, but we've got to get back above that 200 period moving average on Bitcoin. We'll be watching as the RSI forms this divergence. We'll see if it now plays out, but we are getting this rally of we had a 6% rally, and then we closed around 5.5%. But we're getting bullish divergences on all of my indicators, just all over the place. And again, you can see the bullish divergence developing on signals. So again, can we flip it around and get back into the positive portion of the cloud and have some positive things happen with getting back above the 200 period moving average? And I want to continue to point out, but the possibility of a bounce at the support zone of the January low. We broke it, we took it out. My signals have been consistently bearish throughout this entire time. Signals are still bearish, but we're forming bullish divergences. We are forming a lot of signals that are warning of a potential rebound on Bitcoin. And if I bring up Bitcoin futures here, again, we saw the momentum flip, and now we've seen this selling pressure. Tried to flip it here, and it failed. And now we're at the 200 period with Bitcoin futures, and the Bitcoin price is below the 200 period. So again, we'll see if we try to rebound here. But as we've dropped, we're also getting a bullish divergence here on the awesome oscillator that's forming. Now again, there's still risk of taking this level out until we get above the 200 period moving average with Bitcoin's price. And again, risk of testing this low. But again, we got to flip momentum back to bullish. But you have all these people, oh, the CME gap, we're filling the CME gap. And again, telling us That's it. And now we've dropped back down to form these bullish divergences, and they're still telling us, no, we're going to see the bottom fall out of Bitcoin. I don't think so. I think Bitcoin's going to go back up and bounce off these levels, either get up a lower high, or my guess is we're going to make a higher high. I've talked about that in my videos. I still think Bitcoin has a good shot of rebounding to the upper end of the channel if it can get back above the 100-day moving average in the daily time frame. That would be my short-term wave count. We'd have to be able to break out of, again, this potential bull flag, back test it, and then go higher and move towards the trend line. We could see that happen. It could take time to do it. The angle of ascent could be different. But again, it is still possible that Bitcoin goes and makes new highs if we can get back above the 100-day moving average in the daily time frame and recover and bounce off of Bitcoin's average price. Again, let me repeat. This could be a bull flag pattern. That could be a continuation pattern, so don't rule that out.